Hello everyone. Today let's discuss about how to create a small Hello World project using Springs. So let's begin with understanding how the installation procedure goes. The very first step is we need to check if our machine is having Java installed. So if the Java is not installed in the machine, it's very important to install Java. So we can download the Java installation from Oracle Java site and install under C drive program files Java. Here I have used the latest, not the latest, but the version 1.8, JDK 1.8 version, which was already in my machine. I have used that. The step 2 is setting the environmental variables. That is, we need to check until the bin path, the JDK installation until the bin path, we need to set that in the environment variables. How we can do that is, we need to go to My Computer, right click Properties, Environment Variables. There are two things, that is path and Java home. Both we need to change the path. We can set the class path. Next, and click on the Apply and OK button. Next is we need to download the common logging APIs from apache.org, which are very important for running the Spring framework in Eclipse. Last but not the least, we need installation of Eclipse. Eclipse is very important. We can also use NetBeans, but I prefer using Eclipse as I have used it previously as well. So you install Eclipse from the eclipse.org downloads and see to that it is compatible with your Java version. Sometimes some versions of Java like 1.7 and all, it might not work with the latest Eclipse versions. So see to that both are compatible. Once installation is complete, click on the executable file, take a shortcut of it in your desktop and double click on the Eclipse. First thing after installation of Eclipse is to create a workspace. You create a workspace either in C drive or in D drive, whichever you prefer to. That is the first step. Next is creation of a Spring Bean class. There are three very important things for our first Hello World application. The first thing is creation of a Java project. Here my project name is Spring First Project Demo, inside which I am having a pojo called person.java and a bean config file called bean.xml or application context.xml. Both names you can use for the XML file. And a test class. This test class is nothing but our main program. Main program will be this one. So I have given the name as test.java so that it is easily understandable. Running this test.java file. These are the simple steps in which we can understand how Spring Framework Hello World works. So, how to do it? First is right clicking on the new Java project and to create a new Java project name as Spring First Project Demo. The second important thing is to add all the needed jar files or the libraries in the Java build path. These are the commonly needed jars for running our application, especially this commons logging.java, AOP, aspects, beans, context, all these things. Here it contains core jars as well as the needed jars for the different functionalities. So if we download the core jars, that's enough for the running our basic application. For the advanced usage required applications, we might need the later other jars as well. Next is here comes our Spring first project demo. Here what is happening is we will create a folder with the name com.visualpath.spring programs, under which I am having a pojo person.java, a main file test.java, and the application context.xml. This application context.xml must directly come under com.visualpath under source. Sorry, it should not come under com.visualpath.spring programs. Directly the application context.xml must come under source. Then it will not give any error. Here this is our pojo. In this pojo, this is a person pojo, that is getters and setters. We are just having getters and setters of getting a name, that's it, getting and setting a particular name. Display info is a method which is the hello world method for us, which displays the message saying hello, welcome to programming using Spring. This is the text. Here the name which will be set by us will be put here, will come here. So this is a simple pojo, getting the name, setting the name, and displaying that particular message with the name. This is what we are doing. Then this application context.xml is basically an XML config file where we are getting this property name. We are getting the value for this particular parameter here for this particular class. That is what we are doing. We will see to this next. First, let's understand what is happening in the main file. Here, the main program, as we all know, even here it starts with the public static void main string arguments, within which we create an application context here. Why this is done? What is the reason for this particular line, or how can we understand this line is, here this class path XML application context, it is an API. As we all know, it is an API that loads this particular bean configuration file or the application context.xml file, and it also helps in taking care of the initialization and creation of the objects specified in this beans.xml. So this loads this particular API into this context. This is the very first step that is happening in the main function, which we all need to understand. The second step is getting the bean. Here this is a method. GetBean is a method for this particular context that has been initialized, or the objects that have been initialized and created. It is getting the bean ID for that particular method. This is the bean ID. To return a generic object, it returns a generic object. This can be casted for the actual object and can be used to call any other class methods also. So this particular method, this is not a method, this is an object, which is where the getBean method is casting this particular object to the actual object, so that this object obj can be used to call any class method that has been initialized or defined. So here that's why we are calling obj.displayInfo here. This display info is inside the person.java pojo. So it is calling that. So this is the overall understanding of test.java or the main function. Now let's come to the step 4, that is bean configuration file or the application context.xml. Usually this is named as beans.xml, but here for understanding purpose I have named as application context.xml. Both are one and the same. Only thing is we need to provide the correct name here. Within the class path XML application context, we need to provide the correct name that we have set here within the source. It should directly come under the source. And let's see what is happening within the application context.xml. First thing we need to understand is it's an XML file. These are all the bean definitions that we are making here, and what this application context.xml does, it glues all the classes or collaborates between the classes together. Directly it should come under the source folder or the directory, and usually named as the beans.xml file. And here what the property tag does is, this tag is used to pass the values of different variables used at the time of object creation. See, for example, here it's the name. Property has the name. Whichever is used at the time of object creation, usually that name will be, that variable values are passed here. Passing the values of different variables used at the time of object creation. So how can we run this? We can run this by, as usual, like any other Java application, we need to go to the main function, right click, run as Java application. We can do so, or we can click on this green button, run test, or we can also use the keys Control F11 and run the program, or directly right click and run as Java application as well, since it's a normal Java main method. So here it's printing hello, welcome to programming using Spring, Nagashri. Here it has taken the value here, the name whichever we want to specify for this particular class person, with this person bean ID. So both test and person are collaborating or gluing with each other using this application context.xml. So that's it for the day. Thank you.